are catfishing the catfish.
Happy frickin' Pride Month, besties. Of course, I put on my most extravagant top for y'all, and you already know we had to kick off this wonderful, glorious month with a messy LGBTQ plus episode that y'all have been asking me to cover for quite some time. So let's get into it. This is season 8, episode 62, Nick and England.
Wake up! Today is Pride. Wear your rainbows is gay outside. LGBTQT cunty. LGBTQT cunty.
We start the episode off with Nev playing, quite honestly, an awful prank on Kamie that I personally am not a huge fan of. He's basically just saying her love life is dead, which she takes in good fun.
Oh, my love life being dead.
But I just thought it was unnecessarily mean. After that prank is awful and Kamie laughs about it and Nev makes fun of her some more, we read an email from 25-year-old Nick who lives in Pennsylvania. About a month ago, he met England on a gay dating app. Pause right now, okay? It's been a month and you're already reaching out to Catfish? This might be a sign that this relationship is not for you. England didn't have a profile picture, but they quickly exchanged phone numbers and then a picture was sent. Crazy that you would match and give a chance to a guy who didn't have any pictures on a dating app when the whole point of the dating app is to see who you're talking to. They quickly exchanged phone numbers and eventually a picture was sent, and Nick is very attracted to the pictures. And England also said that he was looking for a serious relationship just like Nick, so Nick has quickly fallen head over heels in love with him. Maybe not, he doesn't say the love part, I'm just assuming the way that this is going so far that that's what's going on. There are bright red flags all up and down and through this joint because Nick, what the hell is going on? They keep making plans to meet, but England of course bails every single time. And with the most recent time that he bailed, he said he was in DC with a client so he couldn't make it.
Hey, yo!
He was visiting this client because she was lonely. Client? What kind of client? Nick was confused by this because he said England cleans houses.
Okay.
So when he asked England if he was a sugar baby, England said no, because I don't know if he's the type of person to even be honest about that. But Nick says that he wants their help to figure out the truth and get to the bottom of everything. They call him for literally 2 seconds, say nothing of importance, and then head out to meet. Nick welcomes the Catfish crew in with his sister Michaela, and they quite literally look just alike. We head inside, sit down, and get into everything. Nick says that their town is quite small, so there are only about 20 gay men in the town who are on Grindr, and England was new to the app. He had recently moved into the area, so Nick didn't think anything of it, and he didn't think anything of it the fact that he didn't have his pictures up either, because again, not a very huge gay community. Nev says that Grindr is usually for hookups, so it's interesting that they both immediately agreed to wanting a long-term relationship. England says that he owns a cleaning company, so he cleans other people's homes for a living, and Nick says that he almost never texts him, so they talk a lot on the phone, which would kind of make sense and line up if England is busy cleaning homes. You don't have time to stop and text, but you can talk on the phone while you're doing what you're doing. Nick says that he opened up to England right away, talking about many things that he doesn't talk to anybody about, including the recent passing of his father. And at this point, to me, it's starting to make a little bit more sense why he is in this catfish predicament, because he's clearly processing a very traumatic experience. Losing someone close to you is always difficult, even more so when it's a parent. So I can send my condolences to Nick and his family, and I also send my condolences to any of you who have lost a parent. England was also going through something a little bit emotionally tumultuous by getting over his last toxic relationship, so they leaned on each other emotionally. Nick feels like they have a strong emotional bond. Nick then just very casually tells us that he experienced some serious intimate partner violence in his last relationship of 2 years.
That ended very, very badly. He actually stabbed me in my leg, like a scar from it.
My heart truly goes out to this man. He has gone through so much in just the 5 minutes that we've been talking about his life, and he is still doing his best to put his best foot forward in all aspects of life, but especially in love, which is something that can be very hard after these situations. Domestic violence and intimate partner violence is so troubling, and if you are experiencing any sort of abuse in your relationships, I will leave some resources for you down in the description below. You deserve a safe, stable, and healthy love. Nick, however, does not believe that England could be his abusive ex, catfishing him, sort of trying to get back at him, doing what abusers do. Nev breaks things down, and he tries to get Nick to realize how ludicrous the situation is. So he says, okay, so you, a guy who says you learned a lesson about not rushing into things, then rush into things with a pictureless, nameless guy on Grindr.
Seems like he moved a little fast.
Nick then tries to explain that he doesn't like dating around, and he put all of his eggs into the England basket. I can personally understand why he prefers to focus on one person and date one person. However, I believe that prior to exclusivity, prior to being in a long-term committed relationship, it's imperative to date multiple people, especially if you find yourself having a little bit more of an anxious attachment style. That way you aren't super hung up on one person and devastated when things don't work out the way that you want them to. I fully believe when you're single, and when I say single, I mean you're not in an exclusive committed long-term relationship, you need to get that roster going, besties, okay? Rotating basis. Have them compete for that #1 spot. Kamie says that she completely understands Nick as she is a serial monogamist herself. Nev jumps in, he says, hold on. There is a big difference between being a serial monogamist and getting played because he's still on meat.
There's a difference between being a monogamist and being played.
Damn, Nev. Damn. Nick then tells us that every time they try to meet, England ghosts and has some crazy story about what happened, why he disappeared. The most recent time was the companionship with the 60-year-old woman in DC, and England says that when he goes over there, they just hang out, they talk, and they drink wine. Nick says that these things kind of overstep boundaries for clients who you clean their houses. Seems like a little bit too much. He doesn't really know if he believes that England just cleans houses. Nick also says that for him, it's kind of a red flag that all of England's clients are older women. He asked England a couple of times if he's a sugar baby, if he cleans their homes in his underwear or some sort of freaky stuff like that, to which England kind of sort of denied, but also didn't really address fully.
He's like, don't say that, LL.
That's strange.
England does not have any social media besides Facebook, which is weird, especially with a business in these modern day and times. You kind of need to have some sort of business page online on social media for your business to thrive, especially considering he said he just moved to this new area. We then look at his Facebook page and Kamie says, "We've got chocolate," in this hilarious way.
We've got chocolate.
Nick says that England is pretty insecure, so that could also be why he doesn't want to meet. I don't really know if that's it, but that's what he thinks it could be. The Catfish crew say their goodbye and they head out. We get to investigating in the hotel room, and y'all already know how I feel about investigations in the hotel room. I don't like them, but we move. Nick has very little information about England, so we just start with the Facebook page. And we quickly see that he has a banner, obviously on the top of his Facebook page, with 3 other men and they're all in suits. The picture looks a little bit weird and fake and photoshopped to me personally. Nev and Kamie say that the picture is giving business professional, not some cleaning company owner.
This to me was kind of a weird thing to say. Like, I guess I kind of understand what they mean, but if you own a business, like a cleaning company, you are a professional. So yeah, I thought it was a little bit weird, but we move.
They begin to reverse image search some pictures. Just the ones with England in them get no hits. So they then decide to search that banner picture and they get a hit. It is linked to a law office board of directors page, and the guy in the picture besides England's name is Patrick. They question if England is maybe a lawyer and hid that information, but like, I don't know. I don't feel like he's lying about that, because unless he did something wrong to no longer be a lawyer. I know if I was a lawyer, I would 100% be bragging about that to anybody who would listen. Also, they don't make any attempts to contact Patrick, so this is just like a little bit of a dead end. Our hosts then decide to search England's phone number, and it comes back linked to 68-year-old Genevieve from Texas.
Okay.
What the hell? Nev and Kamie say that this finding is making it look like he is in fact some sort of house bunny who gets his needs taken care of and his life funded by older women. They then Google England's full government name, and it links to an Instagram page that has not been active since 2014. There are quite a lot of comments on those pictures, and one of them seems to know him quite well, so they decide to send her a message asking her to reach out. We then go back to our Google search and we head to England's cleaning page. They go to the reviews, and the only reviews that we can see are from older white women.
You don't find that suspicious?
There's nothing wrong with being a sugar baby. Our stalking is quickly interrupted with a call from Katie, who is England's Instagram friend. Nev quickly fills her in on what's going on, and she says that she knew England in about 2013, 2014 because they went to school together. They have not kept in contact, so she can't really help them. Again, another meaningless conversation, another meaningless finding. This investigation, like so many that we have covered recently, provided no conclusive results. But they decide to head back to Nick's anyways to tell him their findings, but not really findings, because we don't really know anything conclusive yet. As they're telling him what they found...
A shady.
Nick seems very confused, but then he seems happy because he thinks that the findings point towards England being very real. Which, like, babe, respectfully, even if he is real, he is still standing you up, and his actions are not lining up with his words of interest, desire, and commitment. Words of interest, desire, and commitment mean nothing if you are not showing me actions of interest, desire, and commitment. If you tell me, oh, I love you, oh, we're gonna meet up soon, and then you don't show me that you love me and you don't meet up with me soon, I'm choosing to believe the actions rather than the words. It's really easy to make words sound nice and sweet, but those actions, that's where the money is, okay?
What the what? What the money reside?
Where the money reside. Remember that guy?
What the money reside? What the money reside? What the money reside? What the money reside?
So Nev and Kamie encourage Nick to stand up for himself and call England. England answers right away, which is not shocking because Nick said they talk on the phone all the time. Nick wastes no time and he says, let's meet up, we need to talk, and I need answers from you.
Because I need to talk to you in person and I need some answers from you.
He's getting to the point, okay? England dismisses him by saying that he is very busy, he is not even currently in town. Nick pushes back in a very submissive way, and England says, we can do something next week.
You're not listening to what I'm saying.
Nick then makes a grave mistake, I would say at this point, by saying that he's with Catfish right now.
Nev and Kamie are on the phone with me.
Now, sir, why the hell would you tell him that?
Quickly.
This is just going to give him an excuse to tuck his tail and run. Nev then takes over, but England doesn't talk to Nev. He decides to talk directly to Nick, and he is pissed and questions why Nick got Catfish involved at all.
Nick,
Are you serious right now?
Yes, I'm serious.
Why did you get them involved?
Now, personally,
oh, who are you?
I hate to agree with a Catfish, but only talking for a month or two in my mind does not warrant contacting Catfish. Especially if you both allegedly live in the same very small town and the person you're contacting Catfish for has made no real moves or real attempt to meet up with you. England cusses Nick out a little bit and then cusses Nev out and then hangs up.
I'm not in the area, Eve. I gotta go.
Nick then says, after the phone is ended and everyone's like, what the hell just happened? Nick says that he is mad that England got mad. I almost called him English. That England got mad and then tries to also rationalize England's anger. I think a lot of Nick's behavior in this situation, this circumstance, has to do with his previous experience of abuse to where you're trying to rationalize things that are not rational. But also, take a shot every time I say also. This is a very weird predicament because I too would be confused and a little bit angry if the guy that I was talking to but was not taking seriously went out of his way to contact Catfish and essentially put me on blast. But also, like, England is wrong for leading him on. Like, there's so many layers to it, and it's like nobody in this situation right now at least is like mwah, spotless perfect. Catfish is also very messy for taking this case knowing that they had only been talking for a month when Nick contacted the show.
I think they're messy. I think they knew that this was going to be a big old mess. They said only a month and he's writing us. Yeah, we're clocking into this one.
Nev then gets a very brilliant, a very manipulative idea. And he says if Nick is so busy with his cleaning company, then let's give him some work. He says this with a very mischievous look in his eye that I am personally not the biggest fan of.
let's give him some work.
What the fuck is up, Kyle?
But they decide to book a cleaning with England's company and lure him out to a home for an appraisal, but really, it's a Catfish confrontation.
He'll say, yeah, let me come over and do an appraisal or something.
Child, I would be even more mad if my online situationship went to these lengths for a face-to-face meeting that I clearly do not want. Because England is not moving like somebody who really wants Nick. They use Kamie's fake name Ashley down on the cleaning form. They then create a text app number to put down on the form, and they create a fake story about a party that's happening this weekend, so they need their house cleaned as soon as possible.
We're making a text out of it.
We are catfishing the catfish.
Instead of renting a place, they decide to use the home of someone working on the show because they're doing this with very, very little notice. The text app number gets a call back right away from England, and Ashley gets fully into character.
I have this big party.
England says that he can do a consultation in about 2 hours, which is wild because he just told Nick that he was out of town and could not meet. So he's a liar, and it's clear he doesn't care about Nick the way Nick thinks he cares about Nick. They leave Nick's house and they head over to the Catfish crew member's home to get ready for the Catfish ambush. On the way over there, they talk about how they don't want England to feel trapped, which is interesting because you are tricking him into meeting, so of course he's going to feel trapped.
I don't want him to feel like he's walking into a trap.
They try to come up with a game plan to make him feel more comfortable when he gets there, but I don't think there's really a way to do that when they lied and deceived him. The Catfish crew all hide in the garage because it's about 5 minutes away and they don't want to spook him off before he gets inside. This feels like a How to Catch a Predator sting operation more than it feels like a Catfish episode, and I don't know how to feel about that. Because usually the Catfish, their participation is completely voluntary. Like, sure, they put pressure on them, but I can't remember a time where they straight up, like, I would say stalked and tricked this person into meeting like they did in the Catfish UK episode. I believe her name was Sarah. But England gets there and he rings the doorbell, so Nev opens the door. England is confused and he says, why are you here?
Hey, we spoke earlier. Briefly.
What are you doing here?
Nev says that they're just trying to get him and Nick to meet, and he says that they didn't like that they had to essentially trick him, but they didn't know what else to do, and I think this is a lie. Personally, my opinion. I think Nev loved this sneaky undercover mission. He was very, very excited when he first brought up the idea. England eventually agrees to come inside, and we see that it is really him. He is the person in the pictures.
The good news is, you're you.
Nev tells him that he is free to leave if he truly doesn't want to be there, or he can go and get Nick so the air can be cleared. It's interesting that now he's already in the predicament you're trying to give, I would say, this illusion of choice.
I say illusion of choice because they already tricked him into being there and kind of tricked him into this whole confrontation, this whole conversation. And if he were to leave right now, then they would be able to paint whatever narrative about him and villainize him even more than they already have. So it's an illusion of choice, but it's like, are you going to stay and have this conversation, or are you going to leave and then we're going to be able to say whatever we want about you and you can't defend yourself?
But anyways, England decides that he wants to meet Nick, and in the garage, Nick and Kamie seem super excited, but they really shouldn't be.
And it's not funny, but my God, was it just such a terrible sight to see.
Their greeting is very dry, and it's like they're speaking to strangers.
Hey England, what's up?
How's it going?
Good, how are you?
Good.
You mad?
Kamie then introduces herself and apologizes for directly catfishing England. England says that he was truly out of town, but rushed over to do an emergency cleaning. No cleaning, brother, just confrontation. Nick very passively confronts England about the runaround that he's been giving him for the past 8 weeks. England says that he is very interested in Nick, but he's super busy with work and there is something that Nick doesn't know.
There may be something that you don't know too as well.
There is something I don't know, isn't there?
Oh? Do tell. England then says that he has been talking to someone else besides Nick and has been juggling 2 people.
Cheat on me today. Don't wait for tomorrow. Don't wait for tomorrow.
This is a huge red flag. Huge red flag. Because Nick believed that they were exclusive because they had talked about exclusivity and they both agreed. They were only talking to each other.
Did you talk about being exclusive?
Yeah, we did.
Kamie looks shocked, Nev looks pissed, and Nick looks hurt. England says that he was talking to TJ before he was even talking to Nick, and he claims that he told Nick about TJ.
What an odd thing to say.
Which, technically, yeah, he did, but not really, because he described TJ as this toxic ex that he was trying to get over, not somebody who he was actively kind of still in a relationship with. So basically, whenever TJ and England were on, he would avoid and ignore Nick. Nick was secret, he was the backup. This to me would also explain why he only called Nick and didn't text him a whole lot, because if he's actively meeting up with TJ, spending time with him in person, it would be easier to avoid a call, to kind of put him on the do not disturb list, and calls are so much easier to delete and hide in comparison to texts or text threads. Don't take that as cheating advice, okay? I'm just saying in this moment. England also says that although he told Nick he wanted a long-term relationship, he did not actually want that. He wanted to just meet up and be friends.
I wanted to at least meet him and like be friends.
It seems like he just said that he wanted a long-term relationship so that he could get Nick interested and keep talking to him, which is very deceitful and very disgusting and manipulative.
You didn't necessarily think I want to be his boyfriend.
Right.
Nick is understandably so very hurt to hear all of this, and he tells England to choose his words more carefully. Then all of a sudden, England decides to cop an attitude and starts berating Nick. He complains about Nick wanting time and attention, and Kamie and Nev look like they can't believe what they're... Child, this bee. The bee is back! Ah! But Kamie and Nev look like they cannot believe what they're hearing, and honestly, I can't either. Because how is it Nick's fault that he expected you to mean what the f you were saying?
Make it make sense.
Don't piss me off.
England then brings up the DC client and the situation, and he complains that Nick questioned him about it, but Nev jumps in and he says, well, it's unclear what you meant by client. England says, what are you implying?
What you meant by client?
But what are you implying?
What do you think he's implying? Kamie puts it very nicely, very sweetly, and basically says that, like, maybe you're a sugar baby or you exchange sexual services for money. England then gets mad. He says that they are way off. He says that he doesn't want to deal with this anymore. He leaves. He says goodbye to Nev and Kamie, does not acknowledge Nick whatsoever before he heads out that door.
So, Nev, Kamie, I'm out.
Nick then asks if Kamie understands why England was in the wrong, and he's asking for validation, of course, because Nick tried to do some like crazy like mental gymnastics to make it seem like Nick was in the wrong. But also, I'm just observing that to me, it doesn't look like Nick is the most confident or secure in himself and his judgment, which again would make complete sense after an abusive relationship. Kamie says that yes, England was wrong, and while Nick read into the situation more seriously, when somebody gives you their word, you want to trust them, and you're not wrong for that.
Do I think that you read into what he was telling you? Yes. But when somebody is giving you their word, your natural instinct is to trust them.
Kamie, I believe, did a very, very great job of validating Nick's feelings this whole episode, and Nev's about to step in and step it up as well. The Catfish crew then heads out, and in the car, Nev says that the situation is not fully resolved, so he wants to have another conversation with England. The next day, Nev's wishes, they finally come true, okay? And we all meet back up to try and resolve things, finally at a cafe in town. Nick arrives first, and he tells us that after the confrontation, he and England actually talked, which is shocking to say the least. He says that things were very different in comparison to what happened at the confrontation. England called Nick, and he immediately began speaking to Nick sexually.
He called me and like he just started talking sexual right away, and I'm just like, he's like,
listen, and we're judging hard.
If I had pearls on, I'd be clutching those motherfuckers. What are you talking about? Nev and Kamie are just as shocked as the rest of us, besties. And Nick then basically says that they had phone sex because once England got him going, it was hard to stop, okay?
Oh, trauma, straitjacket.
But Nick says that he told England before they get to bumping coochies in real life, he wants to go on a couple of dates and just date for real and be comfortable before, intimacy is put on the table. To which England actually agreed, which I'm very confused because what the hell is going on? Like, he didn't even acknowledge you when he left yesterday, but now he wants to take you out on dates and bump coochies?
We listen and we judge hard.
Which I feel like now in this moment, we are all experiencing the emotional whiplash that Nick has been subjected to for months. England then told Nick that he does not develop feelings through talking. He develops them through sex.
he said he doesn't develop feelings through talking.
How does he develop?
Sex.
Act like you was fucking raised right. What the fuck?
You done lost your damn mind. When you get your damn mind, you call me.
And he says that that's the only guaranteed way that his feelings will grow for Nick. What the You are disgusting, degenerate piece of Ugh. Kamie and Nev's reactions are so me. They're so you. They're so us. Because what the are you talking about?
Good night.
What? Gaslighty.
Exactly.
And that's crazy.
Okay? But also, let's just talk about how that is inherently so manipulative and also just straight up disgusting. To me, this is clear as day sexual coercion. Nick made it clear what he wants. He wants a long-term romantic relationship and commitment before sex. You said, well, maybe we can get there if you maybe we'll get there if you let me hit. Are you serious? Nev and Kamie are pissed and they're disgusted, as they should be. They set Nick straight. They tell him he wants to play you in public and then sleep with you in private, and that is unacceptable. You deserve better because all he wants is sex.
I want to be clear, there's nothing wrong with just wanting sexual intimacy. He is allowed to want that. However, what he's not allowed to do is try and manipulate Nick into also wanting that by making him think that sleeping together will get Nick what he wants. That's weird and icky to me. If you just want to bump coochies, find somebody else who just wants to bump coochies. Don't manipulate somebody who wants more than that.
This has personally been my experience with a man before, and let me tell you, once I stood on business and my boundaries, that man, poof, disappeared, never to be heard from again. Maybe I'll do a little video on that for members only. But fingers crossed, England does the same for Nick's benefit, okay? England arrives, and before he walks in, Nev comes up with a plan. They're gonna keep it easy breezy, beautiful cover girl, but Nev and Kamie are going to push England to leave Nick the hell alone, which thank God. Kamie also makes it very clear that they are absolutely against any form of contact or relationship between Nick and England outside of this conversation at this table today, okay?
He's playing you. But I want you to know that we are not on the side of you having a relationship with this man outside of this conversation at this table on this day.
Don't talk to him. Don't think about him after this, period. England is very cheery, and it's like, you dirty dog, we know what the you did. Don't be so happy. God, I hate when these episodes are like and awful because I just want to get on here and kiki and laugh with y'all, but this man is the worst.
And y'all know I'm a hee-hee-ha-ha ass bitch, so when I gotta get on here and be serious, it pisses me off.
Nev apologizes for tricking and essentially trapping England, and he forgives them very quickly. I don't really think Nev is sorry for this. I think this is probably like a network thing, like, yeah, you need to apologize because we shouldn't have done that. But Nick wastes no time getting right into it, and he asks what was meant when England said that last night he needed to get his willy wet in order to develop feelings towards a long-term relationship. England tries to act confused and gaslight Nick. Like, oh, I never said that. Did I say that?
I mean, I didn't mean it by that. I mean, I don't know what. Did I actually say that?
Yeah, mother, you did. We know you did. You disgusting, creepy. England continues to try to play coy and innocent, but nobody's buying that bullshit, especially not me. Kamie says, look here, okay? We know all about your freaky frog ass conversation last night, but what was the context of the conversation after we were no longer present? Like, why were you talking to him? What did you want? England then tries to say that he called just to check on Nick and see what he wanted, to see if he wanted to be a friend or a friend that has benefits. Okay, so you admit you're trying to bump uglies. That's all you want. You don't actually care about this boy?
Just to talk to him. He does want to continue being a friend, or, you know, a friend that has benefits.
Kamie says Nick is confused because you say you're not interested, then you call later on and get sexual right away. That is confusing. It is contradictory. Okay, you want him in private after you dissed him in public. That's nasty. England then tries to defend himself, but Nev says that Nick does not want your nasty, manipulative, friends with benefits offer because Nick is a mess. Nev did not say that first part, okay, but he definitely said that last part word for word, bar for bar.
Nick is a mess.
And I don't know why he said it like that, but he did. And it was real though, and it was honest. Nev says that Nick is damaged, hurt, and vulnerable when it comes to relationships. England is older. He is not by much though. Nick is 25. England is about, I think, 28. But he says that England is older. He is more experienced, but he's also reserved and mysterious. Nev says that that combination is twisting Nick's heart and stomach in a knot. He gives this very brilliant monologue right here. And this in touch, Nev emotionally in touch, you know, very clued into what's going on, but also sensitive at the same time. I feel like this would have been so good to see in earlier seasons, but I digress. We got there eventually. Nev says that everything England says is twisting Nick around, and it's very hard for Nick. Nev and Kamie are doing such a great job this episode. I feel like it's very rare that I don't have any complaints. They did amazing, especially Kamie, but Nev did good too.
I say I don't have any complaints. I don't think that they should have tricked this man into meeting up. I think that was crazy. I also feel like at some points they were infantilizing Nick a little bit too much for my liking and just making it seem like he isn't capable and he isn't responsible for his romantic decisions. And I don't really know how I feel about that. But besides that, good job.
Kamie then jumps in and says that more than allowed to express his needs and what he wants sexually and all of those things, but he needs to make it super clear moving forward what the expectations are, what he actually wants, not just saying what he wants that person to think so that he can get what he wants, which period. England then says, okay, well, we should just stop talking to each other.
I don't want to hurt your feelings, but we should just stop talking to each other then.
What the?
Be nice.
Trash. You're trash. It sucks that you suck so bad, okay? And not in the good freaky way.
I lie.
This to me feels like a very insane response. They said don't manipulate, you can't coerce him into an intimate relationship, and he said, okay, don't ever breathe in my direction again. Alright then, you weirdo. Nick is hurt, but Nev finds a way to wrap the situation up nicely before saying their goodbyes to England. Nev and Kamie then make it clear to Nick once again, all England wants is to bump coochies. So if that's all you want, then fine. If you don't want that though, you better leave that man the alone. But she then says, if you do decide to talk to him, you decide to do whatever with him and your heart gets broken, don't call us. Period. I love that they are encouraging him to create and maintain his own boundaries, but they're also letting him know kind of what he should be doing and how he should be guiding his way through the situation, kind of how they would be dealing with it if they were in his predicament. In our 2-month follow-up, Nick says that he and England don't talk to each other anymore, which, thank the Lord, thank the Lord, woo! Thank God. He does say that England tried to hit him up, but Nick decided to just block him and not do that anymore, which thank God, stand on business, boy, stand on big business. Nick then says that he actually now has a boyfriend, which elicits this response from Nev and Kamie.
Whoa!
They have met in person, and Nev reminds Nick to never settle and makes a horrible dad joke, but what would a Catfish episode be without a horrible dad joke from Nev, okay?
Another American gain their independence from England. Good night.
Also love that Nev threw in that reminder to never settle, because y'all know that's a big part of what I preach over here. Do not settle. You'll regret it. And I feel like you would be much happier living your best life on your own rather than settling for a piece of That's just my opinion, though. England says that he has been working, and he slides in another promo for his business, which I will not repeat because you. And he says that he and Nick do not speak anymore because it wasn't a good match. You're just saying it wasn't a good match because he wouldn't let you hit. Nasty. England then says that he should have been more honest with himself and with Nick. Kamie says that if he ever wants to become a sugar baby, they support it and everyone laughs and they hop off the call. And that, I think, is the best possible ending to this mess of a Catfish episode we could have asked for. If you made it all the way to the end of the video, besties, make sure to leave a frog down in the comments to let everybody know that you know what kind of freaky frog timing Mr. England is on, okay? I think, again, Nev and Kamie did such a great job this episode in supporting Nick, but also holding him accountable for his part in this, but more so holding England's feet to the fire and not really letting up on him or giving him any leeway. I think that the way that they got England to meet, very sketchy. Don't know if I necessarily like that, but they did and it worked, and let's hope they never do that again, okay? Thank you so much for being here. Make sure to like, make sure to subscribe, and hit that bell notification so you are aware of every single time that I upload. If there's another episode you'd like to see me cover or another show you'd like to see me cover, you can drop it down in the comments below, or you can leave me a DM here on Instagram. Make sure to let me know your favorite LGBTQ+ episodes of Catfish or any other show that you want me to cover so we could do it this month during Pride Month, besties, okay? Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you so very much, and I'll see you in the next video.
Your driver could be LGBTQ. Your tailor could be LGBT.